Thinking a spooky little ghost man. Yeah, I just got to get the center out, and then this side's done. Guys, I got bolts on top of bolts on top of bolts. This here, definitely gonna get welded. Kind of weird seeing Bertha without a hitch, if you guys can see that. Like, it's weird. It doesn't look right. If I keep it that long, it hits. Let's see if she fits. It barely fits. So we're gonna try to match this hole somewhere back here. All the welds, everything are hooked, you know, pretty okay. No point in me filling in anything else. It's already plenty strong enough. Just gotta drill one hole each side, and then we'll come up in here and fix this wallowing. That's what's happening there, is it's wallowing all that out. So we're gonna try to pound all that back in and make a support brace that, I mean, we can measure it from, I guess from the back side of this hole here to here. I guess it doesn't matter if it goes over. There's plenty of room inside the frame, but this frame section's not perfect, but it holds a bunch of weight, and I don't really want to risk it. We need to just do it right, get it done, pound this back flush with a support piece in there of like this thick, which I don't know if you guys know, I have plenty of metal that I can use to make this. We actually, these things might be perfect right here. So we might actually just be able to take one of these guys. You see how thick that shit is? Oh yeah, we could probably cut that. I got a few of those in stock. That would be perfect. I mean, besides that, or this piece here, but I kind of want to make it look as nice as possible. So I have those in stock already technically cut. I think we'll use it. Let's get some measurements, drill this thing out, and we'll go from there. So it's nice, my drill bits actually were working tonight. So this is the size hole we were able to get. So we're gonna take over here, find the bolts that I had. Unfortunately, do it one-handed. So we're gonna see, it doesn't fit, but it does fit over here. So what we're gonna do is go find some bolts that will fit. We're probably not gonna need this size of washer anymore. We're actually probably not even gonna use that washer at all, considering the thickness of the metal that we're gonna be using. So I have plenty of bolts. Don't you guys worry about that. I have plenty of bolts. Let's see if this size will actually fit. That size won't fit either. So we need to find something a little bit smaller than that. And it doesn't have to be anything super, super crazy, because again, you guys see the thickness of this metal. I'm gonna use this one because these were some bullshittery before we got the flux welder working. So I'm gonna get all that off and try to use as much of this plate as I can. I'm gonna try, realistically, if I could cut this dead set down the middle, those would be perfect. So I don't have to use more. But as I was saying, I do have, and I always bring the car in here so she can be in the warmth and lay in her little bed. But I mean, guys, I got bolts on top of bolts on top of bolts. You know what I mean? So we should be able to probably find something in these jars. So let's get to it, and I'll show you what we find. All right, so here's where we're at. Here's where we're at. All right, so with that bottomed out, even if the frame is that thick, we have full thread engagement. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut this in half, and it's gonna be 1 3/4 of an inch, I think, because this is 3.5 inches, and the frame on the inside's around like 2-ish, so we'll go a little bit under that. I think 1 3/4. I gotta figure out where the halfway point on this is. Cut it in half. We're gonna make it pretty much as long as I can physically make it. We're gonna have to go like right to the end there, which is gonna get weird, but we'll do that. Drill our hole, and then I will weld this nut on the back side. And honestly, I might even do the same thing with the with this nut as well, but we'll see. I'm not going to make any judgment calls until that is physically cut in half where I need it. So let's go find the halfway point of this thing, grind this shit off, and cut this to where we need it. But I really think this is going to be thick enough to reinforce that. Now, here's my plan. When we do this, I am only going to be running the hitch up to this hole here. So in between this hole and this hole, I will not be using anything higher than this spot. So my top hole here, no higher than that, and that'll keep the leverage off of it. Eventually, I'm gonna come back in here and we're gonna do a square tubing off of this to the frame for support so I can go higher if I want to. And eventually, I'm gonna get this thing nicely painted, you know, but for now, I don't care. I'm already scratching it up. This is kind of like an ass paint job, but it gets the job done. So that'll be the next step. I already get some rust in there, but it's fine. Not a big deal. So let's go measure, cut twice, measure once. Let's get it. All right, so I went and found the center of this thing. Was not hard at all. You guys can see there's the measurement. We just went down with a Sharpie, followed that down. So we're just cutting it, trying to get it as perfect as possible. It does not need to be absolutely perfect, but it needs to be pretty good. And I think this thing's pretty much long enough to do what I need to do. And like I was saying earlier, we're gonna match it to here and then kind of drill a hole around this area. And it doesn't need to be perfectly centered. It just needs to be close. And as long as I can get it super close, we'll screw this in, get this close, figure out where we need to notch that thing, which I do end up thinking we are going to end up using a washer, because if you guys see how much slop there is here, and there is a piece there, you can't go any farther than this hole, so it's going to be more so a notch. This washer on the inside will hold that in place. So I think we'll use the washer. Let's not get ahead of myself, but I think that's where we're at. I'm gonna get the rest of this thing cut, and I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. We'll go from there. All right, there's that. Now we're gonna go down all the sides with a grinder, get that all nice and cleaned up, and then we can start drilling holes. All right, there we go. She looks good. Looks good for my house. That one's good. Let's get all the shit cleaned off of it. I'll probably throw a slap coat of paint on these things when we're done, just to keep it from rusting inside. But I think these things will be absolutely perfect. And the fact that I only had to use one is great. She'll sit something, you know, something like that. I'll try to center it as much as possible. And then get the hole drilled. We are kind of a little off center, which is fine, but this thing should sandwich this thing pretty good for a while. So if we put it right about there, I mean, that's not bad. That's gonna sandwich that the whole way back. So if this thing wants to bend again, which I'm not gonna press my luck, obviously, not putting it up at the top until we get the support bars. But I mean, this thing is just gonna support this the whole way back. So if it wants to bend down, it has to bend that and just tear the frame up to be able to do it. So let's see how this goes. Let's get it tacked into place. I will grab one of my vice grips here, figure out where we want to put it, kind of center it out, and then go from there. All right, so I hate to bore y'all with this shit, but here is kind of how it's gonna sit. Obviously, the bolt head goes in on the top, and then the nut was on the bottom, and then over here, like I said about welding this nut. Now, what I did is I'm not cutting this out with the angle grinder or anything, so I kind of marked where the circle is going to be, and I came in here with the grinder on both sides, just and then I went down the middle, and then I broke both sides, evened it out, flap disc to the rest of it, but that's pretty much how we're gonna do it. And then you guys can see, I mean, it's working out good. This is, what do you guys think? Is this a thick enough piece? Should I like brace this too? Should I put like a triangle in here or some shit so it doesn't bend? What do you guys think? Is this overkill? I want to get y'all's opinions on this shit. From like one kind of like backyard fabricator to another. I kind of have to do this shit with like a grinder and whatnot. Like I could use the torch. I know I don't have the skills with the torch, but like the grinder just seems to do pretty decent, and the end result is still good. But it's not as great as like if I had a CNC table or some shit. You know what I mean? But for what it is, I think that works. Also, when you're out in the field, you're not going to have a CNC table. So it's like, might as well just do it the same way. Also, drill is fucked. Caught on fire on the last hole. Luckily, I went and purchased this guy the other day. It's not the greatest. It's kind of ass, but it's going to have to do when I'm under there. Kind of weird seeing Bertha without a hitch, if you guys can see that. Like, it's weird. It doesn't look right. I don't like it, which is one reason I didn't get the one that goes behind the hitch, but I like Bertha having a hitch. It just, like, it looks clean, but it looks boring, you know what I mean? So, let's get this piece grinded out and show you guys the finished product, and then start drilling into the truck. Making a spooky little ghost man. Yeah, I just got to get the center out, and then this side's done, and then we can do the drilling. We're almost there. We're getting close. I found another battery, because that one... This thing pisses me off sometimes. Now I gotta unplug it because it's gonna do that for days. Oh, for some reason it just does not like this battery. So if I come over here and I switch them out, this thing charges it fine. Then we can come back in here, plug this thing in. See, Milwaukee, I don't know if it's just that my Milwaukee tools are getting old or what. But, like, I spent a lot of money on these Milwaukee tools, and I don't know if it's just that they're getting old. I think that's kind of what it is. I need to just reinvest in some new batteries, some new tools again. It is what it is. All these drill bits, like, they just seem to be working tonight. Like, this thing just annihilated through that hole. All right, so I wasn't even really thinking about it this whole time. Actually, no, I guess it really doesn't matter. So I was going to weld that like that, but realistically, I don't think I'm gonna have to. This here, definitely gonna get welded. I'm not sure if this is gonna affect anything with that washer being out, so we'll see if it does or not. But pretty much this washer here, or this nut here, needs to get welded to this, and I do understand it's only a 15 millimeter nut. It is what it is. The pressure is realistically going to be on this one, but my goal was just to keep it from trying to do this, and I feel like this kind of accomplishes that, and the more I realize it is like it wants to do this, so hopefully sandwiching the frame in between this keeps it from doing that. I understand that this out here probably isn't any extra support now that I think about it, because if this was down here, it would create like that, but inside the frame, I don't know. We'll see if it does what it needs to do. But like I said, I'm gonna clean this up and throw some weld around here. That's just so that I don't have to, like, it doesn't need to be anything crazy. I just can't get a wrench back in here. So that way I'll just be able to do that. Other thing is, actually, I realized I kind of fucked up there too. No, you know what? I didn't. I'm gonna put this up there, drill my hole, so I know where it's gonna go, and then like, yeah, I can still weld that. So let's get that welded real quick. All right, so we got her tacked in there. Nothing special, just a big old fucking aggressive tack. And then that can go in there. We're not gonna tack the front because I really don't have to. I can still fit my 24 in there. So we're gonna see how it fits with the big washer. Now, pretty much, I'm gonna go line this up with the frame. Actually, first things first, I gotta pound the piece back in, and then we'll get these kind of, you know, put into place where I need them to be. I got passenger and driver. So this one goes on the driver's side. We'll get this back up into place. Once I fix that, mark my hole, drill everything, throw a little bit of slap coat of paint on it just as a temporary. So as much as it sucked using this guy, I had one of these drill bits, which is the biggest one. The outside's dull, but the inside's great. So what I did, I came under here and I used that as the center. That got my centering point. Then I used that one to drill it out, that one to drill it out, and then bam, we finally finished off with that one. Out of all these drill bits, I really only used 4, but I think it came out good. I'm gonna start lining everything up. Put all these back in my organizer. Put these back in a little bin. That can go back over here. Now, you guys are probably wondering why I'm doing this tonight of all nights and why not just do it during business hours. We're going to pick up another Dakota on Saturday, Sunday-ish, somewhere around there. I don't know when, but I need this to not sag because I got to pull a bumper pull, and I'm not taking the 32-footer. I don't have a winch. That trailer's still for sale. If anybody wants it, I want it gone. So let's test fit these fuckers before I just throw a coat of paint on them and see how they do. All right, so these things are shown to be fun. So here's where we're at. All right, had to pull the Rollpan back, and if I keep it that long, it hits the nut at the top. So instead of cutting this shorter, I'm just gonna trim the nut a little bit. It's not really, I don't think it's really gonna affect anything. I mean, that washer right there is probably enough. I'm gonna grind it down a little bit and see if we can get some clearance. If not, I am gonna have to cut this a little bit, which is what I didn't want to, you know what, I might just end up cutting a piece off of it, because realistically, if the frame's sitting like that, it's wanting to tweak this way, so it's not like that's adding any extra support. So let's just cut let's just call it 2 inches off of that. I mean, it sucks because it would be easier to grind this down, but I guess I want all the threads. So you guys get to see my thought process as I go through it. But let's just pick a 2-inch mark and call it good. All right, so I just picked the 2-inch mark, cut it. That should be all right. And that gives us scrap pieces for if I want to make something like tabs or something. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up, test fit it, see if it goes. I get it. I can already see you guys saying, yeah, you made it too long. It is what it is. Let's see if it fits. All right, so 2.5 inches was the number. I marked that one. I'm gonna get this one installed a while. Getting it nice and toasty. That way the paint dries. That should be good. And then pretty much we just install it like that. It does clear. Not happily, but it does it. All right, so we got the first one in on, and it's doing all right down in there. I got the bolts tight on this side. I'm gonna get the bottom bolt tight on this one, and then we'll tighten those up. I just kind of have the nuts sitting there. So pretty much I had to cut off about 2.5 inches, just like that. I'll turn them into something one day, and then I'm gonna grind down the nut a little bit, and then this will work perfectly. So I can finally put the cutoff disc away. I've been fighting batteries because, like, man, I'm running out of charge. That's how much I've been using everything. Need to get more. So fix that, grind this down a little bit with the flap disc, test fit it, make sure that I don't have to grind any more of that down, because I did have to grind the other one a little bit, a smidge, and then put a bolt in this side, and then I can just sit it in front of this and just throw a slap coat of paint on it. That way it's somewhat protected, and then bam, we have a hitch that hopefully I don't fuck up again, because you guys know I'm good at fucking this hitch up. All right, so I cut it. Second time's the charm. I had to trim the nut once, trim the nut twice. Let's see if she fits. Oh, it barely fits. I might give it a little bit more, but you guys can see just kind of how tight that shit is. Like, now that it's in there, I can't hardly get it out. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna give it one more. Third time's the charm. What I'll do, third time's the charm. What the hell? I don't know. What's it hitting? Hold on, let me make sure that's clean in there. All right, so now that it's in there, it does fit. It was just getting stuck on the other tabs. Kind of try to center it up. We'll take a bolt. Doesn't have to be pretty right now. And then what I'm trying to figure out is if this will actually thread down in with the washer. And if it doesn't, I might have to do some trimming on that. It's gonna be close. I might have to trim a smidgen out of that. Yeah, you see that? I'm gonna have to trim a little bit out. Not a big deal. We're almost there. We're so close. I'm just gonna trim what I think is right. If I go over, not really a big deal. And can be a pain to get this thing out, actually. See what I mean? Fighting that, but I think we're getting it. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Alright guys, OSHA loves me. Let's go get this thing slapped in there. Alright, so if you notice a quality change, sorry about that. Had to switch phones, other one's at 5%. So, here's where we're at. I got this guy back on, and then not available while using extra wide lens. Wow, that's awesome. Alright, so we got all that tightened up. I gotta look at it and see. I don't know if it still kind of points downwards. If it does, we gotta do something about that. I don't know. I'm gonna try tightening this bolt up a little bit more because I think there's still a slight gap there. You guys can see that. So I thought I pounded it pretty good. It might still face like a slight smidgen, which is going to piss me off, so that means I'm going to want to drop it again. But we'll see. Luckily, I don't got to take those frame plates out again. They should clear the Rollpan, but I don't know 100% if they will. Kind of just beat the hell out of the underside of the frame to kind of get it like back to where it was at. But if I'm judging this, it looks like it's still at a downward angle, and it's going to piss me off, and I am not going to slap this back together. If that's the case, I will drop this whole thing again to make sure that it's not. So let's check that. All right, so we actually got it straight up and down. Look at that, nice angle. I mean, as best as it's gonna get realistically. So what I did was I loosened that back bolt. It fixed itself. And then, yeah, you can't go any higher. You see right there, or it'll hit. So that is like as perfect as I can get it. Everything is tight, everything's torqued down, and then I went over the 15 mil bolt at the back. So let's get my hitch piece back on, and then we're done for the night. So realistically, I was gonna come in here. My headlights have a tendency to flash randomly for some reason. Like if I come over here, I'll just be chilling, and like one will just blink and then the other one will just blink. Sometimes they'll both blink. I don't know what the deal is. It does it consistently with the high beams and the low beams. It doesn't matter if I'm just kind of sitting somewhere. Like I'll be at a red light and it'll do it. I don't know if it's from the vibration of the engine or whatnot, because right now it's not doing it. And then also one of my cab lights, that one right there, keeps going out because of the wiring. Boost Auto did a great job with the wiring, or with the lights. Unfortunately, nobody really makes an LED light that is perfect with the connectors. So the middle one and the two outers, I used butt connectors and heat shrunk them. And then the two in the middle, not the center one, but the two in between, those still are regular connectors. And that one went out on me for some reason. And I can't, pounding on the ceiling doesn't do anything. So if you guys see how I run mine, I use bolts. I don't use a pin. I used to use a pin. I was tired of this going up and down and tinga, 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 tinga. I do use a pin back here. You can see. But this guy here, this doesn't move now. So that's where we're at. I've been towing with that setup forever. I'm probably gonna, you know what? I might move that up like 2 notches because like it's definitely a drop hitch now. But I don't know, you guys see it. It fucking plays tricks with you. Yeah, I'm gonna raise that by like 2, so that way it's kind of like even with the shank, but I'm not gonna go any higher than that. Usually I like to run it all the way up, but doing that is what's creating my problem. So next step will definitely be, we're gonna go back here. You can see back here, we'll go from that to 2 sections on the frame. Eventually, not right now. And you guys might wonder, why am I doing all this? Ask. Literally just for a roll pan. That's it. The Hitch receiver itself claims to be rated for about 20,000 pounds. Big Hitch Products, I think, is the only one on the market that actually makes that Hitch receiver. It's not cheap by any means. It's a 4-inch tube. Yep, it is a 4-inch square tube welded to some 1/2-inch thick steel. So the Hitch itself is great. The one thing that I just don't like about the way that they advertise it is they kind of say, hey, here it's blanketed. It's rated for 2,000 pounds of tongue weight and 20,000 pounds of gross weight. And I just don't like the way that they kind of labeled that. The way that they make it seem is that you can just bolt it up to your truck and be good. And unfortunately, you guys see in my case, if you use a drop or a riser hitch, that can be a problem. I get it. For some people, that might be common sense. For others, it just, you never really thought that that would be an issue. I've used a riser hitch on my factory hitch for the longest time and never had problems. Now all of a sudden an aftermarket hitch is doing that. It is what it is. I don't want to bash them. They're all right. It's not like it's a bad product. It just, I feel like there should be a little bit different of a marketing on that. Like, hey, this is what will happen if you do this. So I'm gonna move this up 2 notches. All right, there you go. That's a little bit better, more practical. It's not super low. It's not gonna hit the ground. But let me know, guys. Do you guys think that'll fix the problem? Sorry about the absolute ass lighting in here. Face is a little dirty, but I'm gonna flip the camera so you guys don't gotta look at me. That's about it. I think I'm just gonna leave everything how it is. I'll come back tomorrow and clean up. But yeah, what do you guys think? Did I do a good job? Did I do a shit job? A little bit of welder action. A little bit of that was on fire. Are you fucking kidding? Guys, this Milwaukee Charger is just, knows how to piss me off. Knows how to piss me off. I know it does. This one's been great. This thing has been absolutely great. This thing's been great. That Charger, absolute ass. That Charger, great. That Charger's been great. But I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and get another one of those. Probably order some stuff in. But yeah, we're available. I'll be here 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, most days. And if you guys need any parts, we got plenty of fucking parts. We got parts. We got hoods on hoods on hoods. We got dashes. Fenders should be gone this weekend, but you never know with people. Rust-free doors. We got 2 of them in stock. This cab's going. That bumper's going. Those will be out of here hopefully next week. And all this other stuff, kind of just, I'm slowly going over this because someone's supposed to be coming to get in that frame this week. So like I'm trying to slowly move out of here. We got bumpers, we got the sunroof conversion, we got another dash, we got door panels, we got doors. Most of this stuff, 99% rust free. We got performance parts. Got a set of 6 injectors in stock. We got mirrors. We got just pretty much everything. Fuel rail, dash, tuner. If anybody wants a Race Me tuner, $500 for that. $400 for the PCM. And other than that, I mean, we got parts on parts on parts on parts on parts if y'all need anything. So that engine's been paid for, so don't even worry about that. We got headlights, we got LED stuff. We got my turbo. This thing is going on my truck. Nice, clean, no shaft play. That thing's going on Bertha here soon. So, hope you guys enjoyed. See you in another video. Nice 3 a.m. I was supposed to be out of here by 1 a.m. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would. Whoops.